Reekin Havoc.
Reekin Havoc.
News, interviews, and more.
We just reek of Huntsville Havoc hockey.
Another full episode of the Reekin Havoc podcast is ready and waiting. I'm Tim Lambert. This week we caught up with defenseman Terry Ryder, a first-year player with the team, and Laura Pitts will have him in the slot. Coach Stu Steffen will have his pick of the pack this week, and we'll catch up on the action from this past weekend, as well as update you on the games coming up. Keep it here for more of the Reekin Havoc podcast.
The Reekin Havoc podcast.
One of the worst feelings you can have is that of being stranded. Well, BT's towing, tire, and truck repair makes that a thing of the past, with 24/7 towing services and roadside assistance in the northern Alabama and southern Tennessee areas. But that's not all. They also offer truck and trailer repair, mobile welding, brake service and repair, new and used tires, and other major and minor repairs. Their name says it all, BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair. For 24/7 response, call 497-8234. That's 497-8234. BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair. Got something to say? Put it on a t-shirt, or hoodie, or apron, or even an iPhone case. Just go to daddyoscustomtees.com and make it happen. Look through their selection of ready-made designs, or make one of your own. Check out their special hockey designs, too. With Daddy O's Custom Tees, you can truly have it your way. Look for Daddy O's Custom Tees on Facebook, follow them on Twitter or Instagram, or go online to daddyoscustomtees.com. That's DADDYOS Custom TEES.com. Daddy O's Custom Tees. They've got your back or front.
Let's go in the slot.
Welcome back, hockey fans. We are rocking and rolling in the middle of hockey season. And today we have defenseman Terry Ryder joining us. This is his first year with the Havoc, and we're excited to learn a little bit more about him. Terry, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So what are your thoughts so far of kind of how the season's going?
Yeah, it's been a great journey so far. You know, I think Huntsville is a great city to play in. Obviously, you have great fans, great environments, and I think we have great coaches, and we have a great team as well. So I've had a really good experience so far this season. And I think looking at the standings, I think that shows for itself.
So we're in the middle of the season. It's getting down to the wire. Before we know it, everything's going to be over, and we're going to be in a next part of the season, which is playoffs. So what do you think going forward do you guys have to do as a team to kind of, I guess, keep the momentum up, but also keep everybody's spirit up as well?
Yeah, I think we come to work every single day. We're try to get 1% better every single day. And I think over the course of the year, that really pays off. We had a really hot start to the year, and then we've had, our ebbs and flows lately. But, I think, us sticking to the process and seeing it out will, really put us in the best spot to finish out the season strong and go deep in the playoffs.
What do you think are some of the areas on the ice, maybe even during the game, that you guys need to refocus yourself on and concentrate on a little bit more?
Yeah, I think, us sticking to our identity, playing hard, playing fast, just being consistent with that, will just help us, keep going forward, to be honest with you. It sounds pretty simple, but, it works.
Well, you guys have come off of a couple of tough losses lately, and that happens. I mean, it is what it is. So kind of going back and rethinking about how these last few games have gone, what has the leadership kind of been like? How have you guys kind of rallied around, a loss, knowing that there's still so much more left in the season?
It's a long season. Our team, have great leadership. They've gone through it. They know what's going on and everything. And I think that, we just stick together as a team, and, obviously they lead the way, and, I think everybody follows them. So we have a great leadership group, and we're not worried at all.
So Terry, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? How did you end up in the hockey world? What has that journey kind of been like for you?
Yeah, for me, I'm from Michigan, Grand Rapids actually, and my parents never played hockey or anything, but I guess ever since I was little, like I just was always drawn to it. I would always run around with like a little mini stick. And then, kind of just learned to skate and kind of realized I was, really wanted to pursue it. So I was pretty dedicated, went through the junior ranks. Then I ended up at Adrian College, which is a D3 school in Michigan. We had a pretty good group of guys there. We won a national championship, and then the next year we lost in overtime. So we went to the national championship game back-to-back years. And then I actually got to fifth year with my younger brother at Wisconsin of Superior, and it was really, really good experience for me. And then I wanted to play pro this year, and luckily found my way here.
So you mentioned that neither of your parents were hockey players. That you maybe weren't really a hockey family until you kind of got bit with the hockey bug, so to speak. What was that like? Having parents that were really supportive of your journey, even if you guys weren't necessarily a hockey family to begin with.
Yeah, I think my parents have been a big part of my journey, and I don't think you can be successful without a great foundation. And whatever I wanted to pursue, they would always support me and kind of be there for me through everything. And obviously they didn't know what to expect. Like, hockey's a crazy sport, crazy world, a lot of travel, a lot of things. And, we were both going through it together, I guess. They didn't know the pathways. So, it's been a great ride with them. And I'm really happy that they kind of stuck by me, obviously, throughout the whole ride.
And you mentioned that you got to also play with your brother. So how was that like? It's really, I've talked to a few different, Havoc players that have brothers or people that are involved in it. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. I've never played with him before. My last year at Adrian, his first college game, we played against each other. So that was really cool. To play against each other, and then obviously to play with him, like, pretty special. Like, not everybody gets to do that, and I'm really happy I got the opportunity to.
So how did your pathway get you to Huntsville?
So yeah, I actually signed with Fayetteville Marksman this summer, and then I went to camp there, and I ended up getting released, and then Stu gave me a call and asked me if I wanted to come to Huntsville, and I said yes. And so I drove from Fayetteville down here, and then luckily I've been here ever since.
And being a rookie on the team, being, first season with the Havoc, what was it like kind of stepping into a kind of a fine-oiled, tuned machine that is the Havoc organization, like comparing it to other opportunities of hockey that you've had in the past? Like, kind of what was your expectation, and was your expectation what you thought, or was it completely different?
Yeah, so like for me, playing pro hockey was always the goal. I didn't really know what to expect coming into this year, but they welcomed me with open arms, and right from the get-go, I can tell like this is a really great organization from the top all the way down to us. They're just always doing the right thing. So it was noticeable to me right away that this was a great place to play. From pretty much the second I got here, everybody was very professional. All the leaders, all the older guys really, took me under their wings. So yeah, I got nothing but good things to say.
Well, as the season has kind of gone on and you've kind of gotten your feet wet and figured out your footing, how do you feel like you're kind of getting into that rhythm with the team and clicking on your line and all of those things? I mean, coming in new, you've got to learn how to play with new guys. You've got to learn how they are. They've got to learn how you are. So kind of how's that dynamic been?
Yeah, I think just like growing as a team throughout the year helps a lot. Obviously not knowing anybody at first, you just like anything else, you just kind of get your feet wet, and then, the more reps, the more practice, the more you're around each other, like just things kind of click.
So what would you say is going to be kind of the key for the rest of the season from your perspective? for you and your teammates? Because, I mean, we're sitting pretty right now, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to be in a playoff situation. I can't imagine us not being. But what do you guys have to do to really keep the momentum going?
Yeah, like there's only 15 games left in the season, so not too many left. I think, we just need to stay course, stay together, play fast, play hard, and I think, we'll really like where the chips have to fall.
Well, and keeping that in mind, how have you seen yourself improve, I guess, or get better in a sense with this season? I've talked to a lot of you guys, and you're always talking about how you start the season and there's certain things that you try to work on your own. So what are some of those individual skills and things that you're trying to work on individually to help yourself be a better player, but also in the long run help the team?
Yeah, I think there's always certain aspects you want to get better at. Everybody wants to have the big shot, have the flashy hands. But I think, our coaching staff's really worked really hard with me to get better every day. Chris, he kind of runs me through things and does a lot of good drills at the beginning of the season. That's really, in my opinion, helped me kind of just play more and all that stuff. So I think just the little things will go a long way. Just kind of trying to get better, that little bit better every single day goes a long way, and I feel like I've had that mindset through the whole year. But right now, I guess for me, what I'm trying to work on is just being more physical, harder to play against, more stiff. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Have you been around a certain team in the league this season where you've played them before and you have to play them again, and it's not a dread that you have to play them, but it's kind of like it's going to be a physical game, or it's going to be tough? Who have those teams been?
Yeah, I think everybody in this league plays really hard. I think, the margin of error, isn't that great, or it's really tight. So, you got to bring your A game every game, and everybody wants to win. And I think, a lot of teams are willing to do that. So I think every team's been really physical. But I feel like for us, our big kind of, we got to step up to the plate kind of mindset is probably Roanoke. I'd say they're big, they're heavy, they're structured. But everybody plays hard. Everybody's is physical. So I wouldn't say really anybody is out of the picture.
Well, my family and I have watched a lot of these games, especially the road games from our TVs, and seen a lot of mishap happening on the ice here and there and a bunch of different things. I think even early February, you were someone that was involved in some of the fighting at one of the Marksman's games. How was that whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, things get heated. We're boiling it down to the end of the season. Guys are trying to stay on teams, trying to do whatever they can. And, for me in that situation, we all just get heated, and it just kind of led to a little mishap, I guess.
We'll be back with more of the Reekin Havoc podcast.
Time now for the Huntsville Havoc Pick of the Pack, a weekly spotlight.
Head coach Stuart Steffen.
Charlie Risk, number 44 for us there, defenseman. He's come in, been a really good player for us this year. Leads our defenseman in points. Spent last year over in Europe, played there, and then wanted to come back to North America and play. So, he's been a good fit here. Definitely a character in the locker room, keeps the mood light, I think, with the guys and stuff like that. And then obviously on the ice, too, he's made a big impact for us. Like I said, really good on the power play. Our top power play jumps in, rush. He's been scoring a lot of goals for us and defends pretty well, too. And, I think his biggest asset is just using his skating. So it's kind of been a smooth fit there. And then he's a pretty good teammate there. Not afraid to jump in anytime there's a scrum or a scrap or anything like that. He's one of the first guys to come flying in and, stick up for one of his teammates. So he's been a good addition this year, and look forward to him down the stretch here in the last 13 games here and heading into the playoffs. I think he's going to be a big part of our playoff run here. So good player.
The Reekin Havoc podcast will be right back.
My name is Joel, and I came to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in December of 1987 to be treated for osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer. We didn't know anything about St. Jude. We didn't know what they meant, or that, when we got here, what we would do, how it would be taken care of. And when we arrived, we found out that my family wasn't going to have to pay for any of my treatment, not for my medicine, not for travel, not for housing, not for food. St. Jude was going to cover all that. St. Jude supported me in every way, from, taking that financial burden off my parents to making sure that all of my family was included in this time. St. Jude literally means everything to me. I get to go home to my family tonight. I get to cook dinner for them. That's what you're giving. You are giving us everything by supporting St. Jude. So thank you so much.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Want to howl with the Havoc this season? Now's your chance from Applebee's Tailgate Talk and the Reekin Havoc podcast. Just go to ReekinHavoc.com and click on Howl with the Havoc to register, then listen to Tailgate Talk on Saturday mornings as we announce the winners of Huntsville Havoc tickets. Howl with the Havoc this season from the Huntsville Havoc, Tailgate Talk, and the Reekin Havoc podcast.
Hey, this is Alex Brandrup, and you're listening to the Reekin Havoc podcast.
So what, if you can or if you remember, what was the happening at the end of that Marksman's game when it was like a full-on team brawl between both of you? The coaching staffs on both teams were into it to some degree, trying to get you guys off. It was right. I mean, the game was over, and the next thing we see from, the TV screen is our goalie getting tripped or something, and then it's just a full-on brawl between both teams. Tell us a little bit about that experience, because that's one thing someone had asked us about.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I don't think I've ever been involved in anything like that before. Obviously, they were upset how the game ended. Their defenseman in overtime ran into the ref, and they were heated about that. Then our goalie was getting his water bottle and going back off the ice, and he kind of got jumped a little bit, and obviously we had a good response to all get in there. So yeah, I mean, that you had a very good response, but that was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts. We were watching that, and we kept rewinding it to see, did our goalie say something? Did he act a certain way? The game's over, and you can still be heated. I've seen Dom be a little heated after the game's over, so it wouldn't surprise me. But it didn't. We couldn't figure anything out, and the next thing we know, everybody's just losing their minds on the ice. And of course, we love it because we love a good fight. But so, what kind of routine do you have getting ready for a game? What are some of your pregame rituals? How are you getting into the groove of getting ready to go play?
I think everybody kind of develops their own little habits before the game from a young age, and you just kind of find out what works and what doesn't. For me, just probably taking a little nap before the game, and then get into the rink couple hours before the game, and just do some stretches, kind of my routine before games. Nothing too crazy.
So who do you think, or what do you think is going to kind of be a way to think about this season that you've had, kind of cement this season as your first one? Like, what are the things that you've so far taken away from it? Things that maybe you weren't expecting to get from this season that have kind of maybe even changed you as a person?
I think it was pretty cool. Like the first time I played at the VBC and just seeing the sold out crowd, I think we won, and we were kind of saluting the crowd and just kind of being able to step back and kind of look up around and see everybody cheering, and kind of, realizing how special of a place this is to play. I don't know if I've had anything life-changing here, but I am very grateful for the team I'm on and the city itself. So, yeah.
So do you watch, just a little bit of this, are you watching any of the USA-Canada hockey chaos going on, or looking at any of the NHL teams? Like, who are you rooting for in some of these areas?
For NHL-wise, like, I like watching any team. Obviously, those guys are so talented and do so many things right. And I think you can learn a lot from watching an NHL game. Maybe for me, just watching the defensemen and how they approach certain situations. But like growing up, I was always a Red Wings fan, so obviously I'm always pulling for them, and I'm American, so obviously I want USA to do well in everything they do. And obviously, last week them beating Canada and the Four Nations, that always feels good, and then hopefully they can take care of business. That'd be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun? That would be really good. So who do you think who do you have in your top 4 contenders then for your Stanley Cup? Like, who are the 4 teams maybe to be watching this season?
Yeah, you always have your top teams. Everybody's always pulling for Toronto. Washington's good this year. Vegas is good. Winnipeg's really good. I can see those teams going far, but I'm really hoping the Red Wings get in the playoffs and make a good push.
What do you think is something that maybe we have like a huge following in Huntsville with youth hockey. It's like a big deal. I'm always curious, and I'm always interested in what the guys think about ways to, not only support that in the community, but like, what are some things that maybe even parents could think about in ways to support their kids? I mean, you have a good, interesting story from that because you came from a family that hockey wasn't really something they were interested in until you became interested in it, to some extent. So like, what kind of advice can you give parents, I guess, that maybe are in the same boat, that you were in as a kid?
Yeah. Well, the other day I had to go to the rink and it was happening there. I couldn't believe how many people were at the rink at 7:00. It was really cool. And it kind of reminds me of kind of back home. I'm from West Michigan, so like there wasn't like any AAA or really that much hockey. It wasn't very popular. So like for me growing up, we kind of grew it. Like we got a good group of guys, and one of the guys who played on the Grand Rapids Griffins, he retired. He was really good. He started a program, and that made everything grow. And I consider West Michigan more of a hotbed than it ever has been, and kind of on the map. And I kind of see the correlation with Huntsville too. Like you don't really think of Huntsville, Alabama as like a hockey hotbed, but it could grow into that. With us here, the Havoc, kids go to the game and they want to be like us. So I think from a parent standpoint, it's it has to be their kids' choice to want to pursue it, and it can't be really taken too seriously. Like hockey should be fun. Like you're growing up, you need to have fun with it. I think that's the best part, is just when you're growing up, you always had a lot of fun going to the rink and being around everything, and you still have fun. Like now, like we all the guys have fun with each other, but I think not putting that much pressure on the kids, and just like it's a game, and just letting them kind of do their thing and see what happens.
So there's this school day showcase, all these kids there at the Von Braun watching you guys do some of this. How cool is that? I mean, we're busing children now to see you guys play, introduce some of those kids for the first time to hockey that they would never have known.
Yeah. I remember as a little kid watching the Grand Rapids Griffins practice and think it was the coolest thing in the world. So like I could only imagine, these kids are probably feeling the same way when they watch us and when they see us. And obviously it's good for the game. It's good for the brand. And I just think it's awesome that they get to watch us and kind of interact with us.
I'm kind of excited to see like which kids now go home and they were like, hey, I got to see hockey today. I want to go learn how to skate. I want to do this. Or they, or out in the backyard trying to be hockey players, and I think a lot of times, I mean, I wonder if, do you or any of the other guys maybe even realize just how much of a role model that you really are? I mean, yeah, you're not NHL level. You're not, famous to some extent like that, but I mean, you are famous you guys are like local heroes in our community. Kids look up to you guys.
Yeah. I think that, I think we know we're role models and, the kids watch us and want to be like us and whatnot. But, obviously, we're older. We forget what it's like to be a kid at times. So,
yeah.
I think that we're aware of it, but like, it's just kind of refreshing to be like, look back of like your heroes and we're kind of like that to them in a way.
Okay, so moving forward, what's going to be your focus then for these next 15 games? Like, what are you going to work on the hardest to try to contribute?
Yeah, I think for me, I just want to be, really, really solid defenseman out there, very, very reliable. And, I just want to do my job.
Well, Terry, I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us today. I think it's really cool how your story has kind of gotten you down here to Huntsville. And, there's this weird thing when people come down here, sometimes they don't leave. So
yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, it's a great place. And it kind of just shows how great of a place if guys are sticking around, living here after their playing days are over.
Yeah. I mean, I'm convinced one day that the staff will consistently be made up of former players. Like it's just, awesome and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a really good thing that kind of keeps that pack mentality and what you guys as an organization and as a team want to have.
Yeah, absolutely. It says a lot about the organization.
Well, Terry, we appreciate you coming on and chatting and sharing a little bit about your story. Maybe we can connect back with you after the season's over or when we are headed to the President's Cup because we know that's coming. But we appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit with us.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you, Havoc fans, for tuning in and listening. We try to bring you something new every week, and if we don't, Tim does a really great job of giving a few cool power plays in there. So, as I always say, stay sharp in the slot. Keep reeking of Huntsville Havoc hockey. We're getting towards the end for our second season, which is playoff season. So, thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
The Reekin Havoc Podcast.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Join us now for Huntsville's greatest hits, where current and former players recount their most memorable dropping of the gloves.
Former center Kyle Clark.
We were playing Knoxville, and I remember it was my second year on the team, and someone got blindsided. Sam Hunter stepped in. He got kind of like a cheap shot. He got punched in the face. He wasn't expecting it. Everyone started to come together, and I was going in with the thought, like, okay, I'm just going to, what I usually do, like, just grab someone. I'm just kind of being a peacemaker. So I'm just going in, like, not expecting anything. And then I believe it was Murray, when he was playing on Knoxville, comes up, and he, like, grabs onto me. I'm like, okay, like, we're just going to, stand here, hold each other, like, most scrums happen. And then all of a sudden he drops his gloves. And next thing I know, he's, like, swinging at me. And I'm like, oh, like, I think this is a fight. I think I'm in a fight right now. So then I, drop my gloves, and honestly, everything went black after that. I'm just throwing punches. Luckily, the great staff we have got it all on film. Got some great pictures taken of it. But yeah, I'm swinging away. I think I take him down. I think I land on top, and I just remember going to the box. And it was a pretty exhilarating feeling. Like the crowd's all fired up, and I think I gave a couple like let's go to the crowd, and yeah, it was a fun time. But then like the first thought I had after that was like, oh, my mom is not going to be happy about this, because she's like, if you ever fight Kyle, like, you better not do it. Like, I'm going to be so upset because I don't want you to get hurt. So, like, the first thought I had was like, oh no, my mom's not going to be happy about this. But, yeah, it all worked out fine. I was fine. I don't think I landed any big punches on him. He didn't land anything on me. So, luckily, got out unscathed. And that was a pretty fun time and a cool memory to have.
We'll be back with the Reekin Havoc podcast.
In June of 2005, our twin girls were delivered, Melissa and Catherine, and they were born 14 weeks early.
Amy and Chris George talk about the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund.
They both weighed less than 2 pounds, and Catherine was 115 and Melissa was 1'9". Melissa lived for a couple of hours, but all of the medical technology in the world just could not have saved her, and she passed away while she was in the NICU. Chris realized pretty early that God had given us a platform that we could use to try to help people. So Chris and I started the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund at Huntsville Hospital.
To know that Melissa's name is living on, her legacy continues, and I think that was very important to Amy and I, is why the fund is named after her. Because for 7 weeks, Melissa fought so that Aunt Catherine would have a chance to live. And I think that we wouldn't be doing her name any justice if we didn't carry on, because we know we wanted to honor her and honor her legacy. And the community, Huntsville Havoc, the community in Huntsville itself, they've rallied around that. And it's been a wonderful support system for us. And I think for a lot of families, too, when they see total strangers that are giving.
We're online at HuntsvilleHospitalFoundation.org. Click on the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund, and you can give that way.
There's no donation that's too small, and every dollar is just as important as the next one. And if you're giving, then we understand you're giving because you care. And that's what's important, is that we've learned over the years that people give because they care.
And you can volunteer. If you're interested in that, you can click on the volunteer tab to fill out an application. We are grateful for any type of support, because we know that once we pull those dollars together, we can do big things.
For more information on the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund, visit HuntsvilleHospitalFoundation.org.
This is Brett Schaefer, the goaltending coach of the Huntsville Havoc, and you're listening to the Reekin Havoc podcast.
This past weekend featured 2 home wins over Knoxville. Friday's iHeart HSV night saw the Havoc hit with almost twice the penalty minutes as the visiting Ice Bears. As far as scoring went, Jack Yannick got Huntsville on the board first at 11:36 of the opening period with help from Austin Alger. A power play at 14:37 resulted in a goal by Phil Elgstam, assisted by Dylan Stewart and Buster Larson. The only second period points came from Knoxville a little over a minute in on the power play. Charlie Risk, Alger, and Sam Ruffin combined for another Havoc goal only 16 seconds into the third period. Knoxville answered at 2:27 before Yannick, Ruffin, and Mason Palmer replied not 30 seconds later for the 4-2 win. Mike Robinson was the winning goalie, saving 32 of 34 Ice Bears attempts. Huntsville had 25 shots on goal. Penalty minutes leaned heavily toward the Havoc, 34-18. Yannick, Alger, and Elgstam were the 3 stars of the game. The Havoc fell behind 3-0 in the first period of Saturday's Huntsville Sports Night before finally breaking through at 1944 with Mason Palmer's first goal of the season. Alger and Ruffin were in on the assist. A scoreless second period went by, then Alger went to work in the third, scoring at 7:12 with a hand from Craig McCabe, and again at 19:16 to send the game to overtime with help from Ruffin and Yannick. McCabe came through at 2:04 into OT for the 4-3 win, assisted by Larson and Ruffin. Huntsville was again drowning in penalty minutes with 45 to Knoxville's 24. Terry Ryder was also hit with a 1-game suspension as a result of a major penalty and game misconduct in the second period. He'll be back on Friday. Mike Robinson saved 21 of 24 shots on goal to emerge as the winning goalie. The Havoc attempted twice as many. Alger, McCabe, and Palmer were the 3 stars of the game. Huntsville made a trade with Knoxville earlier this week. Forward Noah Finstrom was sent to the Ice Bears for goalie Taylor Joseph. Joseph had appeared in 16 games for Knoxville this season. Forward Matt Allen also returned after playing in 14 games with the ECHL's Maine Mariners. The Havoc is at the top of the standings along with Peoria this week, both with 63 points. Austin Alger leads the team in points with 45, good for 5th in the SPHL, and goals with 21, which puts him at 4th in the league. Buster Larson's 28 assists has him at the top of the team list and 6th in the SP. Mike Robinson is 2nd in the league with a 2.27 goals against average and a .927 save percentage. 3 games are on the schedule for this weekend, including tonight's makeup game at home for Hunts Vegas night against Macon. Friday night ends the month on the road at Birmingham, and Saturday is back at home against the Bulls for racing night.
Do you have an idea for the Reekin Havoc podcast? Email us at reekinhavoc@outlook.com. That's REEKIN havoc@outlook.com. Send a Facebook message to the Reekin Havoc page or leave us a voicemail or text at 256-434-RKKN. That's 256-434-7556.
The Reekin Havoc podcast.
For those returning from military service, the transition back to civilian life isn't always easy. Retired Marine Gunnery Sergeant Bill Cook talks about still serving veterans.
The mission of Still Serving Veterans is to serve and honor veterans and their families by empowering them to build meaningful lives. And we do that through connecting to fulfilling careers, getting the benefits they deserve, or the services that they need. We have never charged anybody anything for our services. A group of business leaders in town felt there was a need to help the seriously wounded make that transition back into civilian life. Employment services, VA benefits, and connections to other community services. That's what we do. If you're a veteran and you need help, please get a hold of us. Go to that website, ssv.org, and you can find out pretty much anything you need to know about still serving veterans.
In Huntsville, call 256-883-7035. For tickets, official Huntsville Havoc merchandise, and more, go to huntsvillehavoc.com. Visit our website at reekinhavoc.com. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads. And listen, follow, and subscribe to the Reekin Havoc podcast on your favorite platform to keep up with the only weekly podcast covering the Huntsville Havoc, the Reekin Havoc podcast.